Hello fellow light beings, this is Mahadev the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the channel. So this is the solar flash update for September 21st. Might be September 20th if you're watching this live. I'm on the other side of the world, so it's the 21st. And I'm here to share my experience looking at things in the way that I feel. I can feel that the dark forces are preparing to perhaps launch a final assault. Whether or not they're able to pull that off or not is another story. And at the same time, we have light beings who are preparing humans for the final awakening. These are some of the feelings that I'm getting, as well as responses from other people who are doing this kind of work. If you're new to my channel, please be aware that this channel isn't about you listening to me talk. I'm happy if you do come here and listen to me talk, but this is really about giving you the tools to shift within yourself. It's absolutely critical that human beings be willing to look at themselves, to resolve the pain within them, to heal, and to take actions. Perhaps the most frightening actions you're aware of. If you're not aware of what actions to take, it's important to know what those are so that you can shift to a higher awakening. The universe will no longer allow people to get away with not being responsible for everything in their lives. If you're unhappy, if you're sad, if you're angry, if you're depressed, if you're full of rage, if you're full of confusion, if you're full of victimization, if you feel disempowered, these are all things that can be shifted if you are willing to do the work. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. If you feel powerless, that is okay. But what's most important is to go to some force that you perceive to be greater than yourself and to ask, what can I do to overcome my sadness, overcome my anger, overcome my pain, overcome my confusion, to shift myself? What can I do? Humans will no longer be allowed to say, I don't know, I can't figure it out, life is too hard. You're not going to be able to get away with that anymore. So this channel gives you the tools. Go to the free playlists on my YouTube channel. You will find practices there. The Awakening the Immortals, you can find that in there. You can find the Qigong in there, spelled Qigong. You can find the Interdimensional guided free interdimensional meditations. Go do that. There's all kinds of other stuff in there. If you want to know what the solar flash is and all that, I got videos and all that. If you need help, you're like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, that's what this 90-day challenge is about. So go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe to the Warrior 90-day Lightning Qigong. I tell you exactly what to do. Start with phase 1, follow the directions. All you have to do is copy me. I do the movements for you, just copy what I do. It couldn't be more simple. And I guarantee you, if you do that consistently, things in you will shift and your life will begin to change. Courses.thunderwizard.com, all of the other stuff available. And until the 23rd, I am giving away all of my video teachings, easily $5,000 worth of stuff. And for that, you go to 923.thunderwizard.com. As soon as we get to the 23rd, and if we're still here, that sale will be over, because the whole idea is maybe the world is coming to an end. Get your hands on these things. So you've got a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. All right. Dark forces preparing for war, light beings prepare humans for final awakening. And of course, don't forget my books. Most important book is The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life and Interdimensional Revolution, where I prove to you how the dark forces are lying to you about what is happening and lying to you about what light beings and extraterrestrials are. And my book, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth, where you find out what the true nature of reality is, has been revealed to me by higher dimensional beings. All right. So I can't escape this feeling. I mean, things have gotten very intense on my end leading up to this, probably for the last month. Personally, for me, things have been very intense emotionally, psychologically. And of course, watching what has been happening. I'm sure maybe you haven't, but you can go to Rumble and see my videos about what I believe is going on with the Maui catastrophe. And I think I have a video on there showing you what's been going on in China. There's a lot more other things that have been going on in China that I haven't uploaded videos to. But I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's possible that up to 20,000 people have died in Libya. 20,000. There's something like 12,000 people missing from these floods that have, imagine a country the size of Libya, 12,000 people dead from flooding. I mean, that's not a strong storm. Something's up. So there's 12,000 people dead, as I understand it, and another at least 10,000 people missing. So what the hell is going on that kind of stuff is happening? There are weird things like in China, the economy is completely collapsing over there. And fires have started on the outside of buildings that happen to be banks. The side of a building will burst into flames and it catches in, the rest of the building catches on fire. They put it out and then it bursts into flames again. How does that happen? Somebody please explain to me how the side of a building made of concrete bursts into flames. I'd like to know if somebody can figure out the science behind that. So it looks like somebody's targeting the financial sector of China. And then we're heading into this very volatile period in Vedic astrology. And that will be pretty much starting now, but December 22nd through the 25th, that window right in there, centering on the 23rd, that is a very volatile time in Vedic astrology, especially for the United States. There is planetary configurations and alignments that have never happened throughout the entire history of the United States that's happening right then, and it's going to focus on the 10th house of the United States chart, which happens to be the government. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't need it to be anything. We've already seen, just by watching all of the absolutely unbelievable weather events in the United States and in China and now in Libya. Of course, there's been earthquakes everywhere. There was an earthquake in, was it Morocco? We've got earthquakes happening all over the place. There was almost a complete disaster in Southern California when it got hit with that unprecedented hurricane. And the day that hurricane hit, by that time it had devolved into a tropical storm. But bear in mind, tropical storm winds can take your roof off. They can knock down trees, all kinds of, and you've got heavy rain. Tropical storms can be extremely destructive, even, if they're not technically hurricanes. You had that going on, and at the same time that it hit, you had an earthquake that hit just north of Los Angeles. I mean, these coincidences are they're just too coincidental for me. You can fill in the blanks as to what you think I think is going on and what you think I think is causing them. I'm not going to talk about it here because it's not family friendly here on YouTube, so I won't share all of those nasty, bad details. But you can fill in the blanks. What is going to happen in the United States? I don't know. It's very possible there could be something huge, explosive, catastrophic. But I do believe, even if nothing dramatic happens on the 23rd, or in that period, 22nd through the 25th, even if nothing happens, I feel very confident that there will be some kind of governmental upset. There are forces, positive forces, behind the scenes. You can call them white hats if you want. There are people within the United States military and within the United States government and within the technological world out there, Skunk Works and all those people that do all the contracting for the military. There are people that have been trapped in that. They've been trapped in the unacknowledged, really criminal elements within the United States government. And what happens is, they get you, sometimes they get you right out of high school. If you happen to be a brilliant scientist or, a brilliant physicist, or, if they find out you've got psychic abilities, they'll get you when you're young. But once they get you in, they lock you in. You get read into projects, and then you have to sign non-disclosure agreements, and you're told outright, if you tell anybody, we'll kill your whole family. You tell anybody, we'll kill you. Look at what's happening to Russell Brand. I've never seen this in my entire 60 years of existence. I've never seen anybody attacked to this degree by the media. I mean, one day he was just Russell Brand doing his thing, ex-comedian, ex-actor, wild child, and author and all of that, and he's going after mainstream media. He's going after the corruption in government. And then one day, out of nowhere, who comes after him? Mainstream media. BBC and newspapers come together, and they have been doing their own investigation on him, and they reveal it through the media. Not only do they do that, but they hire actors to voice the supposed confessions of these nameless accusers. Nothing having ever been brought to law enforcement. And now he's been deplatformed. He can't make any money. He's lost his agent. He's lost all of his connections in other platforms. He's lost his ability to perform. I've never seen it. And overnight, it really went from one day he was being himself, and the next day they completely silenced him. This gives you an idea of what is going on in the heart of the dark forces. They are absolutely desperate. I'm lucky now. I'm sitting here now. I'm glad I never made it as a big time movie actor, because if I had, they would have come after me, because eventually I would have caught on to what was going on, and I would have used my notoriety to expose them, and they might have who knows. So it just gives you an idea. When you put everything together, you put those kinds of attacks along with the fact that all of a sudden out of nowhere the Pentagon wants to start talking about the existence of UFOs and the threat they are to our airspace, combined with these strange, crazy global warming events of, you've got fires in Canada and you've got flooding everywhere else. You've got tornadoes that last forever. You've got Libya, potentially 20,000 people dead from flooding. You've got China completely losing it financially. Weird kinds of strange things happening, over there that there's no logical or scientific explanation for the weird stuff that's going on over there. The disasters that are happening, fires in Louisiana, all of that stuff. It's too coincidental. I can't escape the idea that this is an attack by the dark forces. And they're not done. One of my problems, I don't think I'm the only person, I think it's part of cognitive dissonance. This happened to me during the lockdowns and all of that. when those hit, I was shocked by that because I wasn't aware of the level of, the tendrils of the corruption and to the level of it. That red pill moment for me was very shocking. And then, of course, the more that I later on interacted with my higher dimensional friends, they said, "Oh, it's a lot worse than that. It's far worse than you can even begin to imagine." And what I went through was, after the first couple of years, and people started waking up and things started changing and people started pushing back against the narrative, I had this feeling of, okay, they're going to give up now. They're going to stop now. And, I should know better. I have an understanding of how narcissistic, psychopathic people work, and they don't give up. They, when they're pushed in a corner or when they're denied, they get angrier. They get more crazy. They get more psychopathic. They get more abusive. So they're not going to stop. This is, a long chain of events. This has been in the planning for decades. And they've been planning this what's happening right now, they've been planning for decades. And if you believe what is, milling around in some circles, it's because the dark forces have technology that gives them the ability to see into potential timeline futures, and they know that there is an awakening event that is something that cannot be stopped, and that no matter what they do, they hasten it, which of course is going to make them even more desperate. They're like a trapped, caged animal in a corner, very dangerous. And they've got nothing to lose at this point, because if they destroys their ability to do what they want, then it's going to make them want to do the things that they do even more without even trying to hide it anymore. Dr. Stephen Greer, in a recent interview, I talked about this already. Again, my mind was blown when the guy asked him, well, these unacknowledged programs and the people behind it, I mean, how dangerous are they? And he was saying, far more dangerous than you can imagine. And the guy said, well, like in what? And he balked on it. He said, okay, I'll give you one example. That there was an asteroid that was not headed towards Earth, but it was coming near us. And the dark forces, with their technology, was able to divert the asteroid so that it would, they got so precise that it would skim above the waters of both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, which would have created massive tsunamis that would have killed billions of people on, all of the shorelines of the world. And had it not been for extraterrestrials who came in and, diverted that diversion, that's what would have happened. Nobody knows about it. We dodged a bullet and didn't even know it. That is only one example. We don't know how many other examples. We don't know how long they've been trying to do this. The dark forces. We don't know. So if what I feel is true and what other people are saying is true, then we're in that inhalation before the exhalation, because that's what it feels like. It feels like everything is going, getting ready for that final release of energy, because you can feel it. You can feel the energy intensifying. You probably know people who are flipping out. I know people who are completely flipping out. Completely flipping out. Emotionally, psychologically, other people are getting all kinds of crazy ascension symptoms, which is another way of just saying unresolved conflict within them. And that's what's happening here. We are up against the final conflict, so to speak. As you know, if you've read my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, you know that the source of all dysfunction, whether it be physical illness, whether it be emotional, whether it be psychological, whether it be spiritual, whether it be love relationships, whether it be prosperity. Whenever you have problems in any of these areas, even though each expression is unique, when you follow them back to the source is always the same, always, always, always. And the source is the individual is in a battle between the desires of their soul and their human ego desire to be accepted by the narrative. The narrative could be your parents. It could be your school. It could be your church. It could be your spouse. It could be your peers. It could be, anything. Anything where you feel like you have to become something in order to get other people's love or approval. And this can kill you. People die of cancer because they never got their mother's love. And people get so completely wrapped up in the ego solution, which is being on a hamster wheel that never ever stops. People get so trapped in that and feel that their survival depends upon them acting dysfunctionally. Let's just take drug addiction for example. Drug addiction is a completely dysfunctional behavior. When you look at it, there's nobody that gets involved in that gets addicted to drugs. There's nobody that does heroin for any length of time that comes out of that going, yeah, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. There's nobody that does, what is it, not crack, but whatever, the new crack, I forget what they call it. The drug where all your teeth fall out. Nobody does that for any length of time and walks out of it and goes, that was good. I'm stronger, healthier, and happier now, and I'm more well balanced. No, you come out of that going, that isn't a good thing. So it is the ego dysfunction that is wrongly attributing dysfunctional, destructive behavior with survival. This is why fear is what drives everybody. This is why I'm so ruthless against any fear-based mentality. Even though I talk about the dark forces, there's nothing to be afraid of. The way to defeat the dark forces is to follow your soul. Period. End of story. I'm not Russell Brand's friend or his mentor, but if he came to me and he said, what should I do? I would say, you should be really glad, because now they can't do anything to you. They can't destroy your career. You could go on to Rumble and you can say anything you want for the rest of your life. You can still go on to YouTube. They can't stop you. They deplatformed you, they'll take your money away. Big deal. I'm sure you got plenty of money saved up. You're going to be fine. But people will pull money out of their pockets to keep you talking about this. Now you no longer have to get anybody's approval. And you can now say anything and everything you've ever wanted, because what more can they do to you? So this is what the fifth dimension is about. The fifth dimension will be about living your soul, living from your greatest happiness, your greatest joy. And make no mistake, coming to understand what your greatest joy is will be your biggest challenge. It will be your most frightening, most painful challenge, because depending on how traumatized you have been by the world, and the world is a very traumatizing place in the third dimension, depending on how deeply traumatized you've been, it will be that difficult to allow yourself to be loved and seen. So I recommend everybody stop watching any videos about being an empath, or being a starseed, or being, the new one is being a chosen one. I would recommend you stop watching that nonsense, because that is really just massively untreated codependence. And what is that? It's the pain of not being loved by the narrative. And we are all special. every single human on the planet. There is no such thing as somebody that's more special than anybody else. There is nobody that's more chosen by God than anybody else. Starseeds who believe, no, I come from this higher dimensional plane and I've come down here, you stupid three-dimensional animals, to help you, and all the pain, but I'll get through it, is just seriously untreated codependence. The super empaths, same thing. Any victim mentality must go. Fifth dimension will not tolerate it. And that is why people are flipping out. That's why people, and if you talk to people, the people who are the most sick, who are the most angry, who are the most flipped out right now, who have the most ascension symptoms, those are the people who have the greatest conflict between following their soul and wanting to be loved and accepted by the world. The people who know who they are without having to prove it, who are comfortable living their truth, those are the people who are sailing through this. And when you get into the fifth dimension, in order to stay in that vibration, you will have to live in your soul. And if you are carrying that kind of victim mentality, that is your block. So don't wait for something to come and fix you, because it might not. Maybe it will. Maybe the solar flash will come and all of that victim mentality will just be pulled out of people, and they'll wake up and they go, oh my God, I've been a victim for so long and I could have just taken responsibility and enjoyed my life. I could have stopped worrying about how much money I had or how much fame I have or whether or not people love me, or, I could have just accepted the fact that my dysfunctional parents were never going to love me and that my narcissistic spouse was never going to love me. I could have just accepted that and moved on and did what I want instead of feeling guilty, instead of feeling shamed for being alive. Maybe they'll just wake up to that. I don't know. I am not going to hold on to that hope. I'm going to do everything in my power. And I'm working my tail off to try and see who I truly am and to drop all of that. And one of the things that you can do, which is extremely powerful, perhaps the most powerful thing, besides doing interdimensional meditation, is to focus on fantasizing about living in your perfect world. Find out what your soul wants. When you know what your soul wants and you focus on that and fantasize on that, that creates a bubble of protection around you. Because if you are following what your soul wants, you are doing what God wants if you choose to believe in God. If you are finding, people say, I just want to know what God's will for me is. It's real simple. What is the thing that gives you the greatest happiness? I love to skateboard. I love to surf. I love to hike. I love to make music. I love to paint art. I love taking care of children. I love plants. I love creating beautiful recipes of food. Whatever the hell it is, that's God's commandment for you. That's what you're supposed to do. And you'd be surprised how hard people fight and they get angry. My brother years, long before, I parted ways with him. In fact, this was when I parted ways with him. My brother used to race motocross and he really loved it. And by the time to the incident I'm telling you about, he had become so wrapped up in his own self-destruction. He was, a middle-aged man still living with his mother. He couldn't get out of the house, and he was racked with physical pain. Of course he was. He was in a lot of trauma. I mean, he was living a severely dysfunctional life, and he was in a lot of anger and pain about it. And he said offhand, as I was visiting them one day, it was the last time I visited both of my mother and my brother, he said offhand, the only time he ever feels, halfway good is when he's riding motorcycles. And I said, then why aren't you doing that? It's obvious that makes you happy, so go do it. He got so angry at me that he threatened to shoot me. And I told him he should go make himself happy. This is what I'm talking about, the craziness. These are the people who talk about being in twin flame relationships. Those of you who want to talk about your twin flame, all you're talking about is being severely codependent in a narcissistic relationship. And you want me to co-sign that? I'm not going to co-sign that. Those of you who hold on to that, no, you don't understand. I'm a starseed. I'm more sensitive than everybody else, and I'm superior to them, but I have to... You're full of crap. You are in conflict with your own soul. When you're living your soul, you are in a state of joy. You are in a state of happiness. Other people's problems don't bother you. You have compassion for them. If they come to you and ask for your help, you're happy to help them. You leave them alone. If people want to live in their own pain, let them live in their own pain, because they will. When you follow your own soul, you will blaze a new path. People will reject you. People will attack you. People will judge you because you make them feel uncomfortable. Because you intimidate them, because your presence, your frequency makes them realize they have to stop, because every time you're angry, every time you're playing the victim game, you're still trying, you're having a childish temper tantrum trying to get your parents to love you. When you date a narcissist and you keep going back to that abusive person and you cry about it, you're trying to get your dysfunctional parents to love you. You're trying to get God to love you. Stop wasting time trying to get other people to love you. You have all the love within you, in your soul, if you're willing to individuate, which is the goal of all meditation. It's the goal of all psychotherapy. It's the goal of all true spirituality. Is like, and I'm not a Christian, but just like Jesus said, unless you're willing to deny father, mother, sister, brother for my sake, meaning the soul, you're not worthy of me. If you're not willing to reject anything and anybody that gets between you and the joy of your soul will get angry. And your ego and your soul will get into a fight and you will end up losing. You will end up sick, angry, upset, miserable, and perhaps you'll miss out on 5D. I have no idea. I'm not making the decisions on that. So embrace that joy. And then sit back and eat popcorn and watch the world burn. Because that's what's going to happen between now and this awakening. We can have an impact on that if we are willing to do the work within ourselves. The more people that focus on their soul, the less power the dark forces have. All right, I'm going to stop preaching. So again, welcome to the channel. If you want what I'm talking about here, if you think I have anything of value that you want, you have to take the actions. Go on to the YouTube channel and look in the free playlists. I recommend everybody do the free guided interdimensional meditations. I think that's the most important thing anybody can be doing right now. You need to back that up. You need to back that up with energy and meditation practices, and you can choose from the free stuff on there, the Hool breath, the Hwar breath, the Awakening the Immortals, that's all free. Or you can get really involved in the Mao Shan spiritual transformational practices, which I teach here at the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, and there's some here at 923 as well. Those are there for you. Use them. If you do something every single day, I guarantee you, you will shift. It's not about being perfect. It's about being facing the right direction and moving in the right direction. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner, if you're an expert, everybody needs to be moving in the right direction in order to get to the destination that we're heading towards. So, there you go. Nothing else to talk about. If there's any questions, bear in mind I don't take questions anymore from anybody unless you are subscribed to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong and I recognize you. Because otherwise, there's a 99% chance that your question has already been answered by, and again, guys, read my books. Don't send me information about ETs until you've read my books, because you're going to find out the 99% of the garbage out there, the law of one, so much of the channeled information is all nonsense. It's all either fantasy or it's conflation or it's outright lies by people who are trying to make money off of you. I recommend that you don't believe anybody about the reality of higher dimensional beings, you should do it yourself. You should do the interdimensional meditation or the CE5 yourself. Find out directly from the ETs what they have to say about themselves. You'll find out very quickly there's no such thing as an evil extraterrestrial. You'll find out very quickly that in the higher dimensions, it's impossible to hide anything from anybody. So there's no way there can be a false being of light, because a false being of light would mean that they live in a higher dimension, but somehow they have the ability to hide who they are. It's impossible to do that in the fifth dimension. Third dimension, you can hide. You can't hide from higher dimensional beings. They can see right through you. But we can hide from each other. But once you get up there, you find out you can't hide anything from anybody. You are as transparent as can be, and you can't even tolerate having any kind of predatory or evil, angry, destructive, violent thought. You drop right out of the fifth dimension if that happens. But you won't know that if you don't do interdimensional meditation yourself. Until you communicate directly with ETs yourself, you won't know the first thing about them. You'll have to get your news from David Icke, or from the Law of One, or from whoever the newest channeler is, who's channeling the Arcturian Council. You won't know. So don't listen to anybody else. Don't even listen to me. What else? What else do I got to say? I got a fire under my ass. There's a lot of energy going on today. Nothing else? Let's see. What do we got here? Any actual questions? Bonjour doesn't know what the 923 is. Well, if you go to 923.thunderwizard.com, there's a video. So if you want to know, you're right, this is directed at people who already know this channel and what I offer. So if you want to know all the stuff that's in there, you can go here to courses.thunderwizard.com and look at the solar flash package, because it's included in there. So don't be lazy. Unfortunately, in my channel, if you want anything, you got to be willing to do the work. Don't ask me to do the work for you. I know that perhaps I could have spent more time advertising it, but if you want to know what it is, put some time and go to courses.thunderwizard.com, see all the different courses that are there, because every single one of those courses is going to be in there. And there you go. Figure it out for yourself, and hopefully you'll find what you're looking for. And hopefully that answers your question. Anything else? All right. Jedi Black Knight, I will take his question. I don't know if are you still subscribed to me, Jedi Black Knight? Have you ever been subscribed? But I will take your question. Question, do you think ET contact can also happen in the form of strong energetic hits on the head? So that's really not a question, is it? You're telling me that's your experience, that you get energetic hits on the head. I don't know. Is it possible? Yeah, I get energetic hits in my heart center all the time. But to be honest with you, I don't know how many of those are direct communications. Sometimes they're direct communications that come straight into my heart. Sometimes it is because I'm so sensitized to the solar energy that whenever there's a solar storm of any kind, I can feel it. I also know that I'm hooked directly up to, I might even be my own ship for all I know. I have, but I know that I'm hooked up to at least one ET ship, and they send me energy all the time. They're doing energy work on my body all the time, I believe, getting me ready for what's coming. How many of that is ET communications? That's hard to say. So I don't know what's happening to you, but is it possible? Oh, you are subscribed. Good. Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably, but see, here's the thing about ETs everybody should know. We have a misunderstanding of what ETs are. We think ETs are these different species that live on different planets that find us strange and unusual, and they're coming here to learn about us. But every single ET that is making its way to Earth, by definition, is a higher dimensional being. That doesn't mean that there aren't three-dimensional extraterrestrials in this infinite universe. There's no doubt there are. But they won't have the technology to get here, because it's impossible to go faster than the speed of light in the third dimension. So the only beings, by definition, who are making their way here are higher dimensional beings. Once you get into a higher dimensional state, there is no separation between physical beings and energetic beings. There is no separation between physical beings and gods and deities. And the only reason that I know that is because after I started working with ETs, they hooked me up. There's a part of me, my right ear is almost always closed and buzzing. And they've hooked me up, the left side of my brain, because I'm very analytical and very verbal. My right ear, my left brain, right? Do I got that right? Yeah, my right ear and my left brain. So I'm continuously connected with them, and that's how they, when I go into meditation, I've got that extra, horsepower. I didn't have it before I started doing interdimensional meditation, which is why I tell everybody that's what they should do. Because once you tap into that higher dimension, you'll never be the same. You'll never worry or wonder about alien abductions. You'll never worry about any of that. And so in their reality, they are connected continuously with all conscious beings, including me and you. There's no thought that goes through your mind that isn't seen and experienced by higher dimensional beings. It doesn't happen. So you're not a secret. Nobody's a secret. All the dark force people that think that all their evil thoughts are secret, they're not. That's why they can't possibly win. Because, just by being a higher dimensional being, you will be 100 steps ahead of anybody. If they wanted to wipe us out, they would have done it a long time ago. Once you get into that higher dimensional state, you have direct access, not only to all conscious beings, not only to the conscious, the web of consciousness, call that God, the mind of God, call it whatever you want. You have direct access to that. You have direct access to all of the deities. You can go visit them and communicate with them. You don't have to look for signs or anything like that. In higher dimensions, you can talk to plants, you can talk to animals, you can talk to the stars. You'll find out that the stars are not balls of gas, but are actually conduits to higher dimensions. You'll find out that black holes are actually entry points into higher dimensions. You'll find out so much stuff that we can't see in this third dimensional fishbowl. But until you break the boundaries between yourself and higher dimensions, you'll never know that. You'll just have to take my word for it, and you'll be reading the Law of One and wondering if that's true, and reading my book and wondering if that's true. So stop wondering. Figure it out for yourself. You'll come to the same conclusions. There's nobody that's done CE5, not one person who's done human-initiated contact with extraterrestrials who has come back with any negative stories. I had my understanding of reality came apart, but it wasn't because of anything negative. It was because I couldn't handle it. I'm so rational. I couldn't handle understanding. Just to give you an example, what it's like for a physical being who lives in the fifth dimension. Just to give you an example. If you're a physical being and you live in the fifth dimension, I'm not talking about the fifth density, or even when I say the fifth dimension, going to 5D, which is really just probably a heightened version of 3D. I'm talking about the actual fifth dimension. A physical being that lives in the fifth dimension can be in every single moment of time in their timeline. They could simultaneously be at the beginning of the universe and the end of the universe. They can simultaneously be at their birth, marriage, and death. They can be experiencing all of it at the same time. Not only can they be in multiple places in their particular timeline, they can be in infinite number of physical places on the earth at any given time. So that means they can literally be anywhere at any time within their own timeline. Do you honestly think that you have the slightest understanding of what that is in the third dimension? I didn't. If you just begin to tap into that a little bit, you're going to find out very quickly all of the nonsense. You're going to drop all of the fear-based stuff, all of the law of one garbage, pretty much all of the channeled, information that's come through, supposed channeling the Galactic Federation, everything about the Anunnaki, everything about there being a war between the Draconians and the Greys on one side and the Pleiadians and the Arcturians on the other, and the battle for planet Earth. You'll find out that's all nonsense. You'll find out that cannot exist in higher dimensions. You'll find that out through your physical experience. So Jedi Black Knight, it sounds like you're doing the work and you're finding that out for yourself. I don't know exactly what's happening to you, but very well could be ETs for all I know. What else? All right, I don't see anything else here, so that's it. Keep your eyes open. For some reason, I want to let you guys know that if you want, you can get an astrological reading from me or from one of my astrology apprentices. And to do that, you go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. Maybe you can get a reading on what your transits and things will be for you on the 23rd and what you should be looking out for. So that's it, my friends. I love you all. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for putting up with me. And thank you for doing the work and for being interested in the fate of our planet. I wish you all strength and happiness. And for anybody who's having a difficult time, you can just think of me. Not that I'm anything special, but just knowing that there's somebody out there fighting against it. If you feel you need the strength to fight so that you can take those actions you're afraid to take, think of me. If you want what I have, you got to do what I do. And I've given you all the tools here. Everybody should be watching the videos on the 12 steps to 5D. Probably as powerful, if not more powerful, than anything else that I've shared with you. Because if you're not able to take your energy and put it towards transformation, it's a very challenging way to live. I love you all. That's it. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.